this weekend. And first up, as has become tradition now, JP, we have a Wembley segment, we have a CM Punk segment in CM Punk news. With your background being as it is, we should get into the latest reports on CM Punk as the United Center has been booked for the tentative CM Punk return in June. This coming out of the Wrestling Observer newsletter today, courtesy of our friends at postwrestling.com. Hat tip to them for the write-up. But Dave Meltzer said that AEW booked the United Center for Saturday, June the 17th, which is to feature Punk's return. As things stand right now, as Meltzer said, that's the date for the United Center in Chicago, which, being a Saturday night show, is likely the debut of the new weekly show. The rumor is the new show is called AEW Collision, because obviously that comes right out of Big Tone's eFed notebook. I'm pretty sure, going back years and years. And that's a trademark, obviously, the company took out a while back. So the press time, not everything was finalized, but the building is booked, and it will likely be announced very shortly when the Punk deal and the TV deal are finalized. I find that it wasn't interesting. Meltzer still obviously the building deal in place. TV deal either has to be done or they must be certain on it. Andrew Zarian of the Matt Men podcast was obviously the one who initially had that story, and obviously there's echoes here of AEW selling out buildings based on rumors of CM Punk, but tied into that AEW Saturday show news. Meltzer was doing in the Observer today. I was having to read the maths on a napkin and figuring out that considering the money that what was the figure he had? Was it like 500,000 per show?
So it's £500,000 per. That's the median rate for first run original programming that Warner Brothers Discovery pays is $500,000. So obviously $1 million per week is what he's figuring. 52 million a year. If you figure their original deal was 45 million, well, the original deal wasn't a deal. It was effectively they were. Warner Brothers, Time Warner as it was, were effectively funding the production of it. They were running the shows, but it was like so this deal has massively expanded. And in the meantime of that, we've had Battle of the Belts, we have had All Access, which is an hour as well. So you're talking
what I find interesting about it, because it's like, if this is Warner pushing for Punk, which is what it sounds like, for this primetime Saturday show. And even if that that guesstimate of 500,000 per hour is what they tend to pay, Meltzer's gone with 52 million per year for AEW. Then at that point, it's like, as I think it was Hobbs on Twitter said today, at that point, CM Punk can take one of the Young Bucks out back and shoot them in the back of the head for 52 million a year. Like, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, it's worth the risk at that point if it's that much money. It's worth the creative challenges probably if it's that much money. It might, that might just be a massive guesstimate from Meltzer's point of view, but like that. I mean, that tells you everything, doesn't it? Because the other bit he had in the Observer today was that it sounds like, and I know Andrew Zarian's kind of said similar. Initially, as Andrew Zarian's reported, this Saturday show was supposed to just be a Battle of the Belts equivalent. It was supposed to be like an AWC show idea. And at some point along the line, Warner have got in the head that they want it to be, primetime premium AEW first run content, which means to get that off the ground, CM Punk. And it really does sound like that. They're the big driver in this. And obviously that big money figure is the big driver for AEW.
As it has to be. And it's obviously making your broadcast partner happy. I mean, the thing about this is there is a lot of precedence for this. I mean, if we think about kind of SmackDown, it wasn't made because of The Rock or anything else, but certainly the idea was like very much he has his own show and it's this separate kind of brand to it. Sting in TNA effectively was one of the things they were able to sell for him to kind of stay on there and get onto things like Spike in the first place. That was the whole reason for that play. And they were chipping in to pay his deal. But always rumors about Warner Brothers Discovery doing the same. It shows like ultimately this is the mover and driver rather than any kind of like talent harmony. I'm worried about it from a creative perspective. Like it's a real concern. How does it fit in on a Saturday? Because I'm imagining there'll be a whole load of preemptions. So it could just end up moving around all over the place. Whilst at the same time, is it is it going to actually solve the problems that they have? I mean, I know it's been said that meeting that was meant to take place between Punk,
this
Jericho,
week,
I mean, this week that hasn't taken place yet. On the back of that, like, how do they manage this as a situation? For them as a company, though, they have to look at this as this is how much content they're producing. They'll be expecting a deal now. If you're doing the maths on this, they're probably taking home, well, certainly north of 100 million a year, like, which will outweigh the gate receipts of what they will do. So that has to be the driver for it. And it does afford them the chance to kind of perhaps expand backstage financially, be on that more like safer financial footing, whilst at the same time looking to double that deal to around 200 million, to probably producing the same amount of content. It's a hell of a deal for them. It means that, and if they want him back, he's got to come back. Like, this is the big thing. It won't exist on and I think there's been so much sort of written about CM Punk, of which I would say Steph Chase's article, if you haven't read it, as the response to the CM Punk thing about the sort of particularly the line about the parasocial relationships, which the Bucks and Kenny extended. Yeah.
People have got 2 months now to drive themselves. Only 2 more months of this, people driving themselves insane with Punk derangement syndrome, as we've seen a few times on Twitter this morning, with people comparing Punk to some of the most horrendous people in wrestling. The problems that CM Punk brings, and they are real problems. And as we've repeatedly said, the entire Brawl Out thing, I would put in his lap, is entirely his fault. The management problem that of that not being dealt with, him not being punished, all valid points, all points I agree with. It all slips away when Warner Brothers Discovery are offering you anything in the ballpark of that figure, which of course they're gonna be with it being a Saturday primetime show. All the consent's got the window, don't they? It shows you why, Tony Khan is so adamant in getting this deal done and getting Punk back on TV. And these whispers that turn to rumors that seem to have turned into to fully factual reporting have happened. He's coming back, whether you want it, whether hardcore Elite fans want it or not, or whether people think it's right or not. Like I say, money talks, doesn't it? And the TV partner has talked here, and that's it. It's settled. And Connor says there he's back on the 17th. Is he back for Forbidden Door in that case? Then yeah, you'd assume so, because obviously you've also got that week of Chicago Dynamite on the Wednesday, which you best believe he's going to be part of. So this is all going to feed into Forbidden Door. Maybe they get to do they want to do, it was him and Tanahashi last year, wasn't it? Him and Okada was another one that was rumored at one point. They're going to want to do that big money match with him, aren't they? In a year where you've got that, in a year where you've got Wembley later in the year, they're going to want it to be all hands on deck. So it's happening regardless. And